hours, it's a nice gym. Hardly anyone uses it. They're not encouraged to do anything during the workday. Most of them are sitting at their desks, stressed out. They're getting these email reminders about their health being horrible, but they're not encouraged to do anything about it during the workday. And it stresses them out. It actually causes more stress for a lot of employees. It's been good, it's been good. It's been good, it's been bad. They've had some great effects from it as well. MHS is, I can never pronounce, it's Monongalia, or something like that. Monongalia Health Systems out of Virginia. And about 20 years ago, they realized their healthcare costs were skyrocketing. Their employees were not, they had horrible retention rate, and they were just seeing a lot of kind of unrest in their group. And I think they've got a few thousand employees. And they got a group of volunteers that kind of said, we need to fix this. We need a healthier workplace. And the volunteers got together, and they went around the company, they collected data. And they took that data and they said, okay, we've got issues with blood pressure, we've got issues just with overall stress levels, our productivity is going down. Here's our areas, let's do something about it. They put together walking groups, hiking groups, they brought in, they had some people who worked there were actually yoga instructors, they did yoga classes, and they started encouraging on-site wellness during the workday. Within 10 years of doing that, the retention rate just got much better, their employee happiness was much better. The culture in itself at the company really changed. In 10 years, after 10 years of it, they implemented a required HRA program. Every single employee, dependent, spouse, everyone who's going to be on the health plan was required to take an HRA. They were very nervous about this because they thought that there was going to be a lot of tension around it. And employees were actually very willing and excited to take it. They wanted to know where they stood. They wanted to know how, if they were unhealthy, please help me get healthy. And it also affected with their premiums and their health plan. They did that, and they had 100% turnout. Nobody decided not to get on the health plan that year. Within 2 years, they had people, spouses who were maybe on their own health plan at their own job, signing up to get onto this health plan with their spouses because they wanted to know. They were seeing the results, they were seeing their spouses getting healthier and happier, and they wanted to make the changes too. So not only is it helping the employee base there, but they're also helping the spouse base and the dependents, which is helping the overall healthcare costs dramatically. In 10 years, their healthcare costs have not gone up a cent. They've stayed exactly the way that they were. Because they had everybody on this, they put them on a good program. They have an on-site staff now that their volunteer group turned into a full-time staff of 10 or more people that work there now that are hands-on with the employees, or hands-on with the spouses, hands-on with dependents, and they're getting everyone healthy. The healthcare costs have stayed the same, the retention's much better, employees are just happy. And that's a model that I look at and I get very excited about, because it's very long-term. It's not what's going to happen today or tomorrow, it's what's going to happen 5, 10 years from now. How are we going to make these changes 5, 10 years from now? And that's what you're starting to see the trends much more in corporate wellness. You're starting to see that across the board. People are starting to look at this and go, I don't want to, yes, I want to go to yoga tomorrow, but I want to get rid of chronic back pain so I can get off of painkillers and I can start feeling better. And what that effect does for the company with getting rid of the painkillers, getting rid of the doctor's appointments, and just having an overall healthy and well employed, you have that across the board, you're going to see great changes. So this takes us into the Plexis Wellness Program. As I mentioned earlier, we went culture first. We decided that that was going to be our best route. We wanted to really start opening the minds of employees, of management, of executives, to really understand the need for employees to get healthy, for what it's going to do for us. Not only are you going to have healthier, happier employees, but our productivity is going to be better, our efficiency is going to be better, our healthcare costs eventually are going to go down. But we needed to open our minds to that first before we really dove in to do the medical testing, the required, HRAs, anything like that. We needed to get people's minds open to it. And a really good example that I have, the first month that I started out in the wellness program, I brought in a personal trainer friend, and I offered body fat percentage testing. Not a single person signed up. So this is a little over a year ago. Not a single person signed up. About a year, almost exactly a year later, we offer the same exact thing, but I put a price on it. So the first one was free. This one now is $10, and this is a year later. 20 people signed up. Every single one of those employees who signed up a year later were there a year before. But they didn't sign up for body fat percentage testing then. The reason why, my theory, is that their minds were open to it. They wanted to know because they wanted to make changes, and the ability to make the change was at Plexis. They could. They felt free, they felt safe to do it. And most of those people, some people got a big reality check. And they made some changes. They didn't just go on a diet, they made lifestyle changes. They started working out consistently. They lost the weight, they moved down to a range that they felt safe and comfortable in, and they're still going strong. I still have people coming up to me daily saying, I'm doing this, I'm eating healthy, I've been working out, I've lost this much weight, my body fat percentage has gone down this much, and they're still so excited. So it's not like a 2-week diet where you crash and then you gain the weight back, because people have made the lifestyle changes because we've given them that opportunity. So that's kind of where for me, it proved that the culture first is more of a necessity than doing the medical testing right away. But in the Plexis and Wellness program, we've added a lot. I consider it a very robust program. We started very slow. So people don't adapt to change easily. I don't adapt to change easily, so I'm sympathetic to it. And also, I come from a background of working in gyms and coaching soccer, and one thing I've really learned is when it comes down to health and wellness and people's working out or trying to get healthy, it's one of the most vulnerable areas for a lot of people. So if you just work for 6 months designing a program and then tossing all of these things in overnight, you're going to have a lot of people who feel very pressured, or they're going to feel unrest and threatened. So through time, we've added all of these programs. We started with yoga, massages, we added the brain bar, which you guys can see if you're touring the buildings, where basically we have supplements for employees that helps with brain health and helps with energy and just basic overall health. We have personal training, exploring wellness seminars, this whole list. We've got this whole list. And we're still growing, we're still changing, we're still adding things. We're taking things that don't work and we're throwing them out, and we're adding things that do work and we're keeping them in. And it's always going to be changing. But one area actually that the health plan really came in to help me right away within the first month or two was reporting. I realized right away, I said, okay, I can do this, but if I'm not running an HRA right away, I still want to know what's going on underneath the surface. What's going on with Plexis? So I started receiving reports from our health plan on what the prescription trends were and what the main doctor office visits were. And I got some startling news. I think I got some news that our 2 highest prescriptions were painkillers and antidepressants. And actually, our TPA kind of chuckled when I was almost floored, and he's like, that's very typical, that's very standard across the board. That's where most of the prescriptions are being prescribed. But instantly, it helped me manipulate and drive the wellness program to help educate people on other ways to deal with these issues that they might be dealing with. We changed some of the supplements in the brain bar to more of kind of stuff that's going to help with mood enhancement. And we started sending out education on how vitamin D is going to help with mood enhancement, or how fish oil is going to be able to help with chronic pain because it helps with inflammation. But not only that, it helps develop the myelin sheath in your brain, which also helps with depression issues. So we started sending out this information, and I would say, you can ask Lindsay who works for me, within a month or so after sending out this information, we saw a huge change in our brain bar. People started taking supplements, and our budget had to go up, but people started taking them all the time. So that education and opening those minds, and we weren't sitting there saying, you guys are all depressed, you need to take these vitamins. We just started tapping into the areas where we knew those people had those sensitivities, and where they maybe wanted to make some changes. So the reports really, through time, have actually really helped us drive kind of where we want to go with the wellness program. We're constantly working together, the health plan and Plexis, on what our common goal is. We would like to reduce the healthcare costs, but we also really want to be able to kind of revolutionize healthcare. We want to prevent. We want our employees to look long term. Don't go to the doctor because you threw out your back and you need painkillers. Try to go and build your core, build your strength, so then that way you don't throw out your back, and you can prevent those things in the long run. And that's actually one of the big struggles in wellness, is having tangible research and numbers behind what we're doing. Because I can't sit here and say, person X is supposed to have a heart attack in 6 weeks, so we need to start preventing. You don't know when those things are going to happen. But hopefully we can prevent those things from happening, but we can't measure that. It's a big struggle that we have. And so that's kind of why our next step, our next direction, hopefully here soon, is to implement the HRA, is to bring in HRA and Have employees take it, get that baseline. And I have people who know they're high risk, who know that they would not do well in their HRA, coming to me going, why aren't we doing HRAs? Well, what's going on? I want to do an HRA. I want to know where I stand. These are people who know they won't come up well, but they want to know. And so that's our next step. Do the HRA, work with our health plan to develop a good premium reduction for people who do well on it, to set up, obviously, HIPAA compliance behind, what we can know as the wellness staff and what information can go out there and kind of what lines we can and can't cross with our employees, because that's always a concern. And obviously working with HR on making sure that no one feels discriminated against. There's a lot of things that go behind running an HRA, which we're really learning right now. But that's our next step, because what we want to be able to do is say, okay, this is our baseline, this is where we started after a year, and in one more year, we want to be at a better place. We want our employees to be healthier, and we want them to be feeling good, plus we really want to be seeing those effects in Plexis. And that's our next step. And I think that that's really one of the major trends that's going to be happening overall in corporate wellness, especially with a lot of the reform going on with the opportunity to really reduce the premium rates for employees who are healthy. You guys are probably already getting phone calls from people saying, my healthcare costs are way too high. My employees are unhealthy. They're not, what do we do? Do we raise our deductible, or do we enhance our education for how to use the insurance plan? But instead, rather than doing those things, you can help these employers who are your clients, and you can suggest to them to do corporate wellness. You can suggest to them to help their employees get healthier and have a long-term effect. Because they're not going to just see it in the bottom line, they're also just going to see better, happier employees who can handle stress better, who can take on the big projects, who have a better loyalty to the company. You're going to see a lot of different, almost the intangible differences, the effects that you'll get from corporate wellness. And as a health plan, if you're ready and you're educated for what's coming up with wellness, because it's changing, it's happening. People are starting to do more wellness. These companies have been doing it for 10, 20 years, have set the tone for the Plexises of the world. There's more people that are wanting to do this. And there's employees who really want to be involved in companies like this. So as a health plan, you can educate yourselves, you can become affiliated with a third-party program that runs HRAs and be ready to present that to employees. And you can really help revolutionize how healthcare is really looking today. Because we can change the negative effects of healthcare, and we can make people healthier and happier. That's what we want to do. And we want to invite all you guys to do it with us. So, thank you. Any questions? Thoughts? Yes, the CEO.
What are some of the challenges that you face along the way?
You know, thank you. There's a lot of challenges. Like I mentioned, change never comes easy for anyone. And health and wellness is a very vulnerable area for a lot of people. You know, I'm even in that boat. I don't work out in the same gym that I was working in when I was a personal trainer, because it's a very vulnerable area. And working with employees to open their minds and have them be open to taking on their own health is a huge challenge. That's a big challenge. And it has taken, you know, sometimes I have people ask me, well, what do you do all day? And I go, well, sometimes I sit in someone's cube for 15, 20 minutes and just talk with them and just get them comfortable with the concept of wellness. Sometimes I'm running seminars, sometimes we're doing yoga class, but really it's a big challenge, is opening people's minds and having them say, I'm ready, I need to make the changes. Of course, there's always the issue of management and executive support, no matter what. Executives want hard data. They want that hard data, and like I mentioned earlier, it's really hard to produce the hard data because you don't know if you're preventing person X from having a heart attack or not. But that's always the struggle. You're kind of always dealing with, look, this is great, your employees are benefiting from this, just leave it be. Because you guys all know, if your executive doesn't support it, then their middle manager is not going to be telling everyone to go and do it, and then no one's going to go and do it, and then you don't get the effects, and then you're just putting money into something that's not going to work. So opening up the minds of all the appropriate people to make the program effective is definitely been a struggle, but we've worked on it. We've gotten there. So, anyone else? I answered all your questions in my presentation. It's great.